Rob the Robin and the Bald Eagle by Madge Bray. Illustrations by Jonathan Wheeler. And looks like some other people in smaller font. When we are children, along with glad things, sometimes sad things and bad things happen too. Hard memories don't just go away. Every day, deep inside, they echo, ripple, and spill over into our lives, making life hard, making less happiness in the world. Rob the Robin knows these things. Listen as he tells the story of his life and his search for renewed hope and strength, inner strength. The crunching sound of breaking eggshell rang in his ears as Rob the Robin pulled away slowly out of the remains of his old home and lay breathless on the twigs in the corner of the nest. It was raining, and small droplets of rain trickled down the twigs in the nest and dripped through the holes on the bottom. Rob dug his tiny claws into the hard, broken twigs and clung on. There was no one else to be seen. He was on his own. This nest looks a bit flimsy, he thought to himself. I had better make sure I don't fall out altogether. And he scrambled onto a bigger twig which held his weight. Rob the Robin peered down through the holes in the bottom of the nest to the earth below. It was a long way down, and he was completely alone. I must still be a baby, he said. My wings don't work yet, and so if I fell down there, I would hurt myself. I'd better hang on tightly then. He said to himself, for he had a very clever mind. It's a tough life, this, he thought, but I'd better get on with it. Later that day, he woke up to the sound of whirring high above him. The nest shook violently as a large pair of legs came to land on top of it. Rob the Robin covered his head with his scrawny wings, for he was afraid. The big lady bird propped herself up against the bark of the willow tree and lay back to rest. I see you have arrived, she said, opening her rucksack and pulling out a large grub. Last of my brood, thank goodness, she said as she began to nibble on the edges of the juicy grub. Rob the Robin watched her eat. Suddenly he felt hungry. May I have some? He whispered hesitantly. Please, she said. May I have some, please? She tossed a small morsel in his direction. Rob the Robin munched slowly on his little piece of grub. He wasn't very sure of this lady bird. Who are you? He asked. I'm your mum. Oh. The mother bird stretched across and rummaged through the rucksack with which the grub had come. At the bottom of the bag she had found some red berries. Rob the Robin watched as she cracked them open and sucked the juice. She's drinking berry juice, he thought. Soon she was asleep. Oh my. Each day passed, much as the last. Now and then Rob the Robin's mother went off and left him. Then sometime later she would come back. Sometimes she fed him a bit of grub here and there, and sometimes she didn't. Sometimes her rucksack was so full of berries that there was no room for grubs. So Rob the Robin went hungry. The berries were stored in a pile between the twigs. On cold, blustery nights, Rob the Robin would feel particularly lonely. He would tiptoe across where his mother lay next to her berry pile and snuggle up under her wing for warmth. His mother would be deep asleep and would not know he was there. Rob the Robin wished he could stay there forever, but he got up long before her and went back to his own part of the nest before she woke up. All right, where were we? When morning came, on cold blustery nights, Rob the Robin would feel particularly lonely. He would tiptoe across where his mother lay to her berry pile and snuggle up under her wing for warmth. His mother would be deep asleep and would not know he was there. Rob the Robin wished he could stay there forever, but he got up long before her and went back to his own part of the nest long before she woke up. When morning came and the night frost lay crusted on the twigs, Rob would lie on his back and gaze up at the sky. It went on and forever and ever. High up above him, huge birds soared. Their wings almost touched the sun. Eagles, he thought Rob, bald eagles, strong, powerful, and free. On days when the sun shone from a clear blue sky, Rob the Robin's heart began to lift. If he scrambled up to the edge of the nest, he could peer over the top and see the outline of some of the other nests perched far away on other branches. Eagles, strong, powerful, and free. I suppose I'll have to teach myself to sing. He heard the sound of music carried on the wind. The big birds were teaching the little ones to sing, and the baby birds were learning to fly. I suppose I'll have to teach myself to sing, he thought. His wings were growing stronger, and looking down, he could see amongst the fluffy brown feathers on his chest a faint hint of orange. Oh dear, I hope I'm not ill. Maybe my chest will turn the same color as the leaves next. He wondered anxiously. Rob the Robin woke up one morning to find a terrible commotion taking place. Standing on top of the berry pile was a very large bird, the brightest chest he had ever seen. There was much chattering and chirping. His mother was arguing with the large new intruder. "Get out of the way, son," said the new bird. "This is between me and your mother." "Son?" he thought, as he leapt out of the way of the big robin's flapping wings. After a short time the fluttering commotion subsided, and his mother unruffled her feathers and combed them carefully with her beak. The new red robin had brought some grubs and a fresh worm. He spat out a whole grub. "Here, lad, that's for you. That'll brighten up your chest feathers." Rob the Robin caught the grub in his claw and chomped on it hungrily. Wouldn't it be wonderful, he thought, if my chest grew big and bright like that? He marveled at the big, beautiful chest before his eyes. He didn't dare to hope. The truth was his wings were still scrawny and ruffled, and two of the three scruffy feathers on his chest had a faint orange tinge. He didn't feel a bit big or beautiful. When the sun was at its highest, the big red-breasted bird walked sedately up to the edge of the nest and launched himself effortlessly off the top, soaring high into the air. "Get out of the way, son!" Ah. "There goes your father," said his mother matter-of-factly. "Won't see him again for a while, I suppose." Day by day, slowly but surely, Rob the Robin grew larger. He was often hungry because he only got fed sometimes. Usually that was when the berry supplies ran out and his mother had to go collect some more. Now and again, when he was hungry, Rob the Robin would tiptoe across the berry pile while his mother slept and toss a few red berries over the side of the nest. That way my dinner might come more quickly, he thought. But he didn't like himself very much after he had done it. "I'm going," his mother said one day. "I suppose you had better come too." Rob the Robin still couldn't fly on his own yet. His mother had already strapped her rucksack onto her back. There was no room for him there. Rob wondered what would happen next. "Hold on to my legs," his mother commanded. Rob gulped. He was very frightened. The world seemed a long way down. But he did as he was asked. Soon he was being whisked clumsily through the air like a lead weight on a crane at a building site. Plop! Both birds landed on top of each other, and the mother bird sank up to her knees in feathers and thistled down. Rob had disappeared into the soft nest lined with down which belonged to a long-tailed tit. The nest was empty. He coughed and spluttered, gasping for air, and managed to force his beak up through the layers of soggy down and draw breath. I fancied a change of scenery, his mother said. A little bit of what you fancy does you good. Hold on to my legs. Ah! After a day or two, Rob the Robin got used to being up to his neck and down. He found some birdie books on a table in the dining room of the nest. In them, there were pictures of mother and father birds teaching little birds to fly, bringing them food and building other nests. Maybe that's how other birds live, he thought. I wish someone would teach me to fly. I think there must be something wrong with me, my mom and me. I suppose we're different. They don't live like we do in the birdie books. Soon enough, his mother was ready to take off again. Rob the Robin braced himself for another bumpy ride. The next nest she landed in was full of prickles. The owner came back soon after they arrived and his mother had to leave. Rob was glad. He couldn't settle with the prickles. They were no comfort at all to him. This time his mother flew back to the old nest. Rob the Robin was pleased to see it because he knew how it felt to live there, but in his mind, he never knew what was going to happen next. Because he couldn't fly yet, he wasn't able to feed himself. He knew he would never be able to survive alone. Even though his feathers were beginning to grow, he still had some of his baby down on his chest and on his back. Late one afternoon, his mother woke up. "Oh no," she said. "Is it that time? Come on, we're off to a party." "What party?" Rob asked, as he prepared himself for another bumpy ride, holding on to his mother's legs. Rob didn't know what she was talking about. "Never mind, we're off to have a good time." Rob didn't know what she was talking about. What's a good time, he thought, but he didn't say anything. Well, before they landed, he could hear the noise of music and commotion far in the distance. There were cheepings, chirpings, and tappings. Down below on a hazel branch was a huge platform with many different kinds of birds. Different kinds of berries were piled all around the edge. He had never seen so many berries. Rob felt the jolt when his mother landed and sat on the rim of the nest looking in. His mother walked off to join some others. Some of the birds were standing, talking, cheeping to each other in conversation. Others were sipping berry juice and cackling with laughter. 4 pairs of chaffinches or chaffinches. So 4 pairs of other birds were dancing together. Rob the Robin had never seen anything like it. He shivered, curious and excited and a tiny bit worried all at the same time. Over in the distance, he thought he could see a group of robins. One of them looked like his father. Rob tucked his head under his wing and he tried to pretend he was asleep. He felt very uncomfortable. Then strange things began to happen. Some of the birds began to peck each other. Rob knew they were not fighting because they were not pecking each other on the face, but on the tail feathers. Some of the grown-up birds seemed to enjoy pecking each other on the tail. They were chirping and cheeping. Tra-la-la! He watched his father peck another bird. A wren, he thought, and then they pecked each other. Rob did not know what to think. He was very afraid. He saw his mother standing with a thrush, clapping her wings in delight. She produced a camera from her rucksack and took a picture. Oh no. Then his turn came. A large crow came over to him and told him to bend over. Rob didn't know what to do. He stared speechlessly at the crow. Do as you're told, lad, his father commanded from across the nest. Rob turned around with his back to the crow. Then, then the pecking started. Jab, jab, jab. The crow pecked at his tail feathers. Rob's tail hurt terribly. His mind was in a daze. What shall I do? What shall I do? He thought. But he was too small to do anything. As soon as the crow had finished, two chaffinches also decided to peck him. And so it went on. When he opened his eyes just for a moment, he could see other baby birds being pecked too, just like him. Inside, his mind was crying, "Mom, Dad, where are you? Please help me." But nobody came. How can I protect myself? He thought. No one else will make this stop. By this time, his tail feathers were hurting quite a lot. Maybe it's because I haven't got a proper tail, he thought. Then the pecking started. Jab, jab, jab. Maybe they're doing this because I've been a bad bird. He looked around. His father was pecking him too. Rob's body was hurting and his mind was hurting too. There was no one to take care of him. All of a sudden, his mind did a wonderful thing. For his wise mind knew that Robin needed help badly and needed it now. And that was how the bald eagle flew into Rob's life. In Rob's mind, there was a deafening crash, followed by a whirring of huge wings. The door to his mind burst open, and the biggest bird he had ever seen had come to land in his mind. "Who are you?" Rob asked. "I'm the bald eagle. I've come to sort things out for you. There are a lot of bad things happening outside, and you are getting hurt." "I know," said Rob. "It's terrible." At the moment, on the outside, his mother was taking photographs, while another crow, a hooded one, had begun to peck Rob the robin with his beak. "Okay, Rob, close your eyes and go inside," said the bald eagle. "Remember, I'm your friend. I'll take care of this. Pecking doesn't hurt me at all. In fact, I quite like it. I don't mind pain at all. I'm the warrior eagle, the bald eagle, and they can peck me all they want to. You won't feel a thing." As soon as Rob closed his eyes and went into his mind, far into his mind, he felt no pain. He began to forget where he was and all about his sore tail. "I know I shall survive with the bald eagle to help me," he said, and he did. The next day, he was back in his old nest again. He rubbed his eyes. "How did I get back here?" he thought. "I can't remember." His tail was sore and he didn't have many tail feathers left. What happened? He wondered to himself dreamily. Maybe my tail will never grow again. Maybe I'm damaged forever. Pecking tail parties happened quite often in Rob the robin's life after that. But every time he could remember little about them because the bald eagle took care of them for him. Rob the robin knew that the bald eagle was the biggest, strongest bird in the universe. The bald eagle could kick any other bird high into the sky with one flick of the tail if he wanted to. The bald eagle always came into his mind when bad things happened. He never let him down. Rob the robin was very worried when his father came back to the nest. "Will he peck tails or give me something to eat?" he thought. Sometimes his father was kind. Rob longed for his father to be kind all the time. Sometimes his father pecked him. When he did that, Rob thought it was because he was a bad baby robin. Sometimes Rob would hear stories of the fights his red-breasted father had been in. It's a tough life, he thought. He had learned it long ago that it was certainly not safe to trust grown-ups. His mother took him to another nest and left him there for a long time. He didn't know if she would come back.
I'm tired.
The nest had baby starlings in it. "You're not one of us," they said. One of the baby starlings prodded him. "We don't want you here." Rob the robin felt under threat. He was afraid. He went inside his mind. All of a sudden he came to find all the baby starlings huddled around in a corner. "We didn't mean it. We didn't mean it," they whimpered. Sorry, don't hurt us." It was at this point that Rob the robin realized that the bald eagle had done his job. He didn't exactly know what the bald eagle had done. "That's okay," he said. "Just don't mess with me, okay?" "Okay," said the biggest of the baby starlings, heaving a sigh of relief. "And I want my share of dinner too," said Rob in a firm voice. "Yes, of course," said the baby starlings. "Whatever you say." Now it came about that two kind sparrows heard about Rob the robin's plight. There is a baby robin in the starling's nest at number 22, they heard. "He may have been abandoned. His mother swigs berry juice and doesn't know how to look after him. And his father's off doing things like beating others up. He can't stay at the starling's house forever. Maybe we need to find a place where he can live until he grows up properly. Just don't mess about with me, okay?" They flew many miles to the starling's nest and spoke softly to Rob the robin. Rob was not afraid of the sparrows, and when they spoke to him of a sparrow family who would gladly take care of him until he grew up, who would feed him every day and teach him how to fly like their own, he could not believe his luck. "Maybe it's a trick," said a voice inside his mind. "Will they teach me how to sing too?" Yes, they will. They love singing. Maybe sparrow songs and robin songs are different, thought Rob for a moment. But he still could not believe his luck. "You mean they want to look after me?" "Mm-hmm," said the sparrows. "Come." They made a hammock between their wings and flew off toward the sparrow colony many miles away. At first, Rob the robin was very happy with the sparrow family. They fed him well and began to teach him how to fly. They taught him sparrow songs. The other baby sparrows taught him to play. The sparrows also did strange things which he had never seen before, which made him a little afraid. "When you love your children," said the mother sparrow one day, "you stroke them kindly with your wings and brush them with your beak before they go to sleep." Immediately, Rob the robin was alert. Fear rose in his throat. He knew it. This must be a game like the pecking game. Soon he was about to get hurt. Before he could stop himself, there was a whirring of huge wings in his mind, and the bald eagle was back. Rob went inside quickly. When he came around, he found himself shut in his bedroom on his own. His feathers were ruffled, and there was a knot of a whistle tied around his beak. Mother Sparrow came into a room with a glass of water. "Goodness me," she said. "What happened?" "You must say sorry." "What have I done?" mumbled Rob the robin, for he did not know. He could not talk properly due to his tied beak. "Well, you thrashed around the living room and broke all of my best china. Then you pecked a hole in the living room carpet and tried to attack Susan Sparrow with your beak." "I did what?" He looked blankly at her. "Now stop telling lies," said Mother Sparrow crossly. "You know very well what you did." "I don't," thought Rob the robin sadly. "I really don't." But he knew that the bald eagle did. Life went on. Much of the time Rob the robin was happy at the sparrow house, but he never really allowed himself to trust anyone. Nobody pecked at each other, but he did see the baby sparrows being stroked by their parents' beaks. They seemed to enjoy it. This is how you love each other, they said to Rob. The mother sparrow would try to give Rob some love, but as soon as she got near him, the bald eagle would come and he would back away, ready to attack her. Maybe I should try to love other people, thought Rob the robin one day. But he never learned what love was, and he didn't know how to give it. The more he thought about love, the more afraid he became, and the more pecking tails came into his mind. One day, the daddy sparrow came into his room. He was very angry. How dare you write letters to my children telling them you will peck their tails, he said. We don't have pecking tails here. You know that. Now where did you learn that, you naughty baby robin? Rob the robin sat glumly on his feather bed. It was the bald eagle, he said truthfully. The what? Said the daddy sparrow. Don't be ridiculous. His voice got louder and louder. The daddy sparrow was a kind sparrow, but he did not like to be lied to. We don't have any bald eagles in this nest. He began to tower over Rob the robin, shouting. Rob was afraid. He gritted his beak and tried very hard not to let things out of hand. I'm sorry, he mumbled. Never mind, sorry. You'll stay in your bed for a week. No flying lessons, no singing, and no. And before he had finished talking, it was too late. The familiar whirring noise was happening in Rob's head. The bald eagle was coming, like it or not. Rob had no idea what would happen next. Oh no, he thought as he went inside his head. When he came around again, he knew things had gone from bad to worse. The sparrows were having a meeting downstairs. You mean he actually tried to peck you on the tail, Mr. Sparrow? Oh dear. Where has he learned tail pecking, I wonder? How terrible. And you've heard he's been dangling his tail out of the nest and asking passing birds to peck him on the tail? How upsetting. Well, of course you can't keep him. Obviously, you don't want your own children's minds to be upset by this. No, he hasn't learned to fly quite yet, and he only sings a little so far. It's quite upsetting for you, Mother Sparrow, isn't it? Because you've grown to love little Rob in your own way, haven't you? But maybe Rob the Robin won't ever be able to love you back. Yes, it's all tragic. Terrible tragedy. He'll have to go. He can't stay here. His mother has disappeared, you know. She turns up now and again. Where will he go? Well, we'll have to find a special place for him. Rob could listen no more. Oh no, he thought. Oh no, I don't want to leave here. What if I have to go to a place where they do pecking tails? Threaten to hurt yourself, said the bald eagle. Throw yourself off the top of the nest. Do what? Said Rob. Oh no. He was shaking and sweating all over with fright, and in no time the bald eagle was back. Before he knew it, the bald eagle launched him out of his bedroom door, and he fell slap bang in a heap through the ceiling and onto the living room floor. He must be mad, screamed the little sparrows, crying, take him away. And so Rob the robin came to lead the sparrow family, which would have been his home until he grew up. The two kind sparrows carried him in a hammock between them. Inside, his mind thrashed and banged, sometimes Rob, sometimes the bald eagle. It was all such a muddle. By good luck and by good fortune, the kind sparrows had listened to the sounds of the ripples on the wind and took him to exactly the right place. The nest they took him to was quite like an ordinary nest, except that it belonged to a group of special birds called mending doves. In the nest lived 4 other baby chicks whose parents hadn't been able to care for them very well. They had also had their tails pecked when they were babies and had muddles in their heads because of it. The mending doves provided a warm home for baby chicks. There were 2 chiffinch babies, a thrush baby, a wren baby, and guess who the 5th chick was? Rob the robin had a warm, cozy bedroom. Dinners when he needed them, and lots of flying lessons. There was singing too. All kinds of songs were sung in the mending nest. When he arrived, there were things for Rob the robin There were things Rob the Robin learned about his new home which he did not believe at first. The mending doves seemed to know all about pecking tails and pecking tail parties because, in their job of mending, many baby birds had told them all about them. But the doves never pecked baby birds' tails themselves. Maybe I could be safe here, thought Rob to himself, but he still wasn't very sure. He learned too that mending doves knew all about chicks with bald eagles and their other protectors in their heads. Small robins are very wise, said one of the mending doves. When they get hurt, they have to protect themselves. Some small robins create bald eagles to take care of them while they are getting hurt. Sensible, isn't it? Do they? Said Rob, for he had thought he was the only robin with a bald eagle in his mind. Oh, yes, of course, said the mending dove. Well, what do you do when he comes out? Well, does things, said Rob the robin, for he could not believe his ears. We know how to deal with that here. It doesn't bother us a bit, said the mending dove. What would you do if the bald eagle came? Asked Rob with his mouth open. We stand up strong and tall with our wings together when the bald eagle comes out, and we don't let anybody or anything come to any harm until the bald eagle goes again. And what happens? Well, eventually small birds learn quickly here that they have nothing to fear from us, and so we meet the bald eagle and other protectors less and less. Really? Said Rob. Yes, really. We know that we know you won't be able to trust until you learn it, though, so for now all we can do is tell you. We know that none of the baby birds who come here trust adults. Maybe I could be safe here. They are very wise babies, for the adults into whose nest they were born could not be trusted to care for them well, to care well for them. You see, although you did not know it, the kind sparrows listened to the sounds of the ripples on the wind, and you were brought to rest in a place that was exactly right for you. The mending nest is securely anchored in its place. Its twigs are tough and strong, and the nest has been carefully built to withstand rainstorms, gales, thunder, earthquakes, and many other tests which life may throw at it. It is lined with the finest down so that it can give comfort to all little birds. The mending doves are grown up birds who are specially chosen. They are chosen because they are strong enough to allow frightened, hurting little birds to practice being close and practice learning to trust in a slowly kind of way. And in the same slowly kind of way, little birds begin to know deep inside that it is safe to snuggle up and belong. Oh, yes, and there's another important something in the mending nest, said the mending dove. It holds everything together. It's called love. No mending nest can do its job without love. Rob stared miserably at the mending dove. For try as he might, he did not really understand what he was talking about. Rob thought and thought, but most of his wise mind knew about nests. But what but Rob thought and thought, but most of what his wise mind knew about nests was far very different. So far was very different. It tried to find things that would prove to him that none of this could be true. Inside his mind, he had conversations with the bald eagle. Never mind that love stuff, whatever it is, said the bald eagle. Headbutts and claw scrapes, that's what I'm practicing at the moment. I'll lay them out cold, you can rely on me. But bald eagle, said Rob, we'll get into big trouble. They don't like it on the outside. Rob started going to school every day, and there were many other birds there who were learning to fly. They did not know about pecking tails. Rob wanted to be just like them, so nobody could tell the difference. But he still felt alone and different a lot of the time. He lived with the mending doves and went to school like the other baby birds in the area. He tried very hard to forget all that had happened and about the bald eagle, but he knew the bald eagle was still inside his mind. Once or twice, when he got scared, the bald eagle peeped out and kicked around, but nothing awful had happened yet. Something else happened in the mending dove's nest, which Rob the robin had never heard of before. Twice a week, all the babies went to spend time with the knowing owl. The knowing owl he was taken to see was called Arabella. She was quite a large owl with big round eyes. The first time he went, Rob the robin was afraid. Tell her you don't want any more meddling with your mind, said the bald eagle from inside his head. If she gives you any nonsense, I'll bop her. But the knowing owl only sat on her perch and looked carefully. She did not try to do anything. Don't you want to change me? Said Rob the robin, deeply suspicious. If any changes happen, you will make them happen because you want them to happen. Rob the robin slowly began to trust her and told her bit by bit about the bald eagle. He says he's going to bop you, said Rob, for he was very uncertain. He was worried because she looked like no match for the bald eagle. You are in control of the bald eagle, and eventually you will learn that. I have met with many bald eagles, cunning kestrels, horrible hawks, and buzzing buzzards in my time, said the owl softly. I'm not afraid. They come into small birds' minds when bad things happen and they have a job to do. Rob the robin thought carefully. Bad things were not happening to him at the moment. Indeed, no bad things had happened to him since he had come to live with the mending doves. It's a terrible thing, nature, he said to Arabella. Yes, it's terrible and wonderful at the same time. Baby birds' minds find their own answers. This happens after a while. As your body is nourished and grows, so your mind will grow too. I will help you, and the doves will help you too. Every week, Rob the robin and Arabella did their knowing work together. The mending doves watched over their work, and Rob talked to the mending doves about some of the things which happened during his time with Arabella. Slowly, over time, Rob learned to give and to receive love. At the beginning, he stood up stiffly like a matchstick when someone gave him a hug, but after a while, he began to like hugs a little. He let his body hug back. Deep within him, he began to know he could not be pecked, and he was no longer so afraid. The bald eagle doesn't seem to have the same job to do anymore, he said one day to Arabella. Close your eyes and imagine him. She answered. Ask him how big he is now. Rob closed his eyes, went inside, and had a talk with the bald eagle. There's no doubt, said the bald eagle. I've lost some of my power because I haven't had to use it for such a long time, he said miserably. I'm only about the size of a hen now. I don't think I would like to hurt and be hurt so much anymore. I'm out of practice. I'm losing confidence a bit. Rob the robin talked kindly to the bald eagle, for he was growing himself. His wings were growing strong and firm, and his chest was beginning to cover with red downy feathers. The bald eagle had been a good friend to him. He could rely on the bald eagle to be brave and strong, and Rob was sad to see him shrink in size. Now and again at his school, one of the other little birds might argue with Rob the robin, and the bald eagle would flap his wings and try a little peck here and there, but Rob felt more in control, for the bald eagle didn't have much power now, only about as much as a blackbird. Rob the robin began to wonder if the bald eagle was preparing to leave. He went inside and talked to his friend. You needn't be afraid, said the bald eagle. I've been noticing lately how strong you're becoming. I've been giving you strength to survive bad times you've given me a place to live in your mind. We have been like a good team. We'll always be together because we're part of the same body, a good and strong robin body. Soon I will not need to do the same job for you anymore, but I'll always be a part of you. Rob the robin could not wait to share this news with Arabella. Yes, I knew it. We all knew it, really, said Arabella. You are in charge of the bald eagle. Soon you and he will be one. Close your eyes and ask your mind what he looks like now. Rob the robin closed his eyes and went inside. There was nobody there, only a small but strong boy robin with a beautiful red breast and firm, sturdy wings. There isn't anyone inside anymore, said Rob slowly. I can only see a boy robin. Is he a proud, strong, wise robin who has had a tough life and has got on with it? Yes, he is, cried Rob the robin excitedly. Who is he? What does he look like? Whispered Arabella, smiling. He looks like me, Rob. Then that's who he is, said the wise owl knowingly. I will tell him something from the outside, and you can. And that's who he said the wise owl knowingly. I will tell him something from the outside, and can you help him know it from the inside too? Said Arabella. Can you tell him that Rob the robin is mending well now, and that his mind has come to understand more about the bad things which happened to him? The bald eagle does not have to have the same job anymore. Have to do the same job anymore. And Rob the robin's mind has taken him back inside, slowly, slowly getting smaller and smaller until he and Rob are one. Rob the robin before me now is kind and gentle and will carry inside him forever the strength and the power of the bald eagle. Rob the robin before me now will never abuse this power or the knowledge he has gained in his journey so far. In the future, he will know great happiness. Rob the robin told these things to the person he saw inside, who was just like him. He opened his eyes slowly. Arabella smiled. Suddenly, in a rush of wonderment, he ran across her, and hung round her waist in delight. She held him close. I'm a robin, tweet, tweet, Rob the whole robin, complete. No more peckings, no more forgettings. I'm just Rob the robin. I'm me, he sang. And from that day on, he was the mending doves and Arabella and Rob the robin and the baby chaffinches and the baby thrush and the baby wren had a party that evening to celebrate. There were mixed morsels and juice, but not berry juice. We have one more job to do, said Arabella. Every robin needs to find a place where he or she can belong completely and be able to be just himself. But I feel like that here, and I like it here, Rob said, munching on a morsel. Yes, but this is not a forever place for you. This has been your mending place. All of our baby chicks are mending now. We have searched carefully for real robins with kindness and love in their hearts, who have a place in their lives for a small son called Rob. Rob looked startled. Will they teach me robin songs? Yes, nodded Arabella. And teach me how to fly properly the way robins do? They will, she said reassuringly. Rob smiled. They will be my family forever? I know they will, said Rob the robin, puffing his red breast with confidence. I will try hard to give them my trust. Rob the robin went to live with his new robin family soon after. That means he is really part of their family. And as strange as it may seem, he is part of their family, my family, your family, and the family of all of everything. If, as you walk in the woods, you listen very carefully, sometimes you can hear him perched high in the trees, singing sweet and strong robin songs. And when robin sounds his note, his own heart strong, the earth and the sea, the sun, moon, and stars, the whole universe vibrates in harmony with him. And he flies gracefully from branch to branch, here, there, and everywhere. You may stop to wonder at the amazing lives some robins live.